Good morning, primary class. This is your lesson for Monday, quarter 4. Yesterday we learned that Barnabas wanted to take Mark with him and give him another chance. So we're going to find out today if he gets to. When Barnabas wanted to take Mark with them on their next missionary trip, Paul didn't think that it was a good idea. He was afraid that if they should have a hard time, Mark would leave them again. Finally, they decided that Barnabas should take Mark with him and that someone else should go with Paul. But whom did Paul take? Acts 15, verse 38 through 40. But Paul thought not so good to take him with them, who departed with them from Pamphylia, and went not with them to the work. That's when Mark didn't go with them because he was afraid. And the contention was so sharp between them that they departed asunder from one another, so that Barnabas took Mark and sailed on to Cyprus. That means that they fought about it, and then they separated and went different ways. And Paul chose Silas and departed, being recommended by the brethren unto the grace of God. So Paul ended up taking Silas, and Barnabas ended up taking Mark. Barnabas and Mark sailed off to Cyprus, and Paul and Silas went on their way to many other places. Verse 41 says, "And he went through Syria and Cilicia, confirming the churches." And in case you're wondering, Mark didn't go back home this time. He was a good helper for Barnabas, and in the end, Paul trusted him too. He was happy that Mark had become a fine helper for Jesus. 2 Timothy 4 verse 11 says, "Only Luke is with me. Take Mark and bring him with thee, for he is profitable for to me for the ministry." When Paul and Silas got to a place called Troas, Paul had a vision telling him that they needed to go to Macedonia and tell the people there about Jesus. Soon they were on their way, taking Dr. Luke with them. Acts 16, verses 9 through 11 says, "And a vision appeared to Paul in the night. There stood a man of Macedonia and prayed him, saying, 'Come over into Macedonia and help us.' And after he had seen the vision, immediately we endeavored to go with them to Macedonia, assuredly gathering that the Lord had called us for to preach the gospel unto them. Therefore, losing from Troas, we came with a straight course to Samothracia, and the next day to Neapolis." Philippi was an important city in Macedonia, and Paul and Silas stopped there for several days. What did they do on the Sabbath? Verse 12 and 13 tell us, "And from thence to Philippi, which is the chief city of the part of Macedonia, and a colony, they were in that city abiding certain days. And on the Sabbath we went out of the city by the riverside, where we prayed and want to be made. And we sat down and spoke unto the women which restored thither." Paul told those women about Jesus. One of them, whose name was Lydia, sold beautiful purple cloth. After she and her family were baptized, what did she invite Paul and Silas to do? Verse 14 and 15 tell us, "And a certain woman whose name was Lydia, a seller of purple of the city of Thyatira, which worshipped God, heard us, whose heart the Lord opened, and she attended unto the things which were spoken of Paul. And when she was baptized, and her household, she brought us, saying, If ye have judged me to be faithful of the Lord, come to my house and abide there. And she constrained us," which means she housed them and took care of them. Now here's your question. Paul and Silas had a comfortable place to stay, and people were learning of Jesus. Can you see why God wanted them to go to Macedonia?